Well, you get it right. Jake Marshall was a Western guy. He was definitely the howdy partner type of guy. So this is the guy whose team you are hearing. They shoot you in Texas for that. That was his basically motto. Right there. But I guess we are not in the Western team right now. It could have been good for Brayburn, but I didn't know that we were gonna have him. That's why it's a little bit sad that I don't pre-read everything or anything. So I don't know what is gonna happen really soon. I know that last time Featherwind actually learned how to control the wind with his natural magic, which is not part of his original magic. His horn is not glowing. He has an audience as he is trying to fly. Howdy, ducks! This was in chapter 21 for the Shadow Queen. Wait, huh, okay. Quill, did you see the line art that Dice Fabric did? Did he send it to you? As well. Your current story is very Western feel. Oh, you are writing a story as well. That's nice. We might be able to read it as well, maybe later. After you finish this story. So Quill, did you see the line art that Warwick did? He probably posted it to you as well. If not, well, I can open it for you. Do you have others? Can I show it? Dice? Warwick, can I show it? It's basically the same that you sent last time. And again, this is what I hate about YouTube, that I have to wait like 30 seconds for every answer. Okay. Just wondering which one he's referring to. I'm referring to this one. Let's zoom this one out. Maybe not this much. There we go. The fully linked LinkedIn, yep. This one. We can see now Nightmare Moon in the moon. We could only see her a little bit and a lot of clouds. It's gonna be amazing. I wonder if you get a faster response to Discord. Yep. This... I don't know. Yeah, seen that. There we go. It's so different because on Twitch you have like 2-second delay. That it's nothing basically. But here, I just... Yeah, I'm waiting for the response. I can't do anything about that. It's YouTube. Well, now I display it for others. But yeah, as Bobby said, it still needs to be colored. It's much harder to color it with hand-drawn equipment because you can't just reset everything. If you do a mistake, you have to basically commit everything you do. And it's actually really easy to mess everything up by coloring. I have done some pictures that I actually don't like colored. It was good with inked in, but then it became, oh my god, what did I do? Why did I color this? Something like that. And you can't do anything about that afterwards because it's already in the paper. But yeah, we are actually here for a story, right? We are here for Queer Dancer. Queer Dancer. Okay, it's even better now. It's like last time when the prologue, when I said Queer Dancer, right? What did I say? Sky Scroll or whatever I said. It's basically Queer Dancer, but it's Featherwind. I wanted to say all the names at the same time. It happens sometimes. You just have to draw with the mistakes. Let's lower this music. And let's change it to Reminiscence. I don't know if it's gonna be a recollection, should be fine. I don't know if it's gonna fit to the story or not. I'm just gonna go with it. So let's continue from where we left off. Featherwind learned he can control the wind. That's where we left off. And he has to further experiment on this magic because it's not time for that because obviously it's not the weekend. He can try at the weekend. Probably we are gonna time skip for that. So let's continue. That's probably not fitting it because that's sad music. But there we go. At this point in my story, I think I need to fast forward a bit into something akin to a montage. But I will need to pause long enough to highlight some key points that led to further development down the road. For instance, I did practice with my light and body weight and wind control at my next flying session. The method I used was quite dramatically different compared to my last attempt, and it led different results, for good and for real. It was quite a discovery. Even if I lacked the ability to drift in the wind like Feather, knowing I had the power to influence the wind itself was quite a shocking discovery. I'm not surprised that the crowd behind us gasped when I announced this discovery, which, by the way, was 4 times as large compared to our last session. Yeah, that makes sense that DICE already has the template for the colors. You have sent that for me. I usually do a template as well, but on a different sketch note, so I can just use the pipe equipment, so I can just pick the color and then use it. It's a little bit different when you are actually drawing with a pen or whatever you are using. But compared to targeted control, there were pros and cons to this strategy. For example, I learned last week that by lightening my body weight and lifting myself delicately, the cost in magical energy was negligible. If that were the only factor, I could easily maintain it all day. The problem was with concentration. My power tickled, and it always was exceedingly difficult to focus with shifting body weight. As light as I was, I still felt it. But obviously when he is not using magic on himself, he doesn't feel the magic tingling. In contrast, lightening my body weight and blowing myself on the wind alone required almost no concentration. It felt more natural than that. All I really needed to concentrate on was which direction I felt I wished to flow. This is actually remarkably easy. I could even do this without thinking, relying upon instinct alone. Because this required almost no concentration, it was therefore easier to maintain. As for energy, it cost even less than the other attempt. The targeted control was already very low cost, but I can honestly say that the surrender to the wind strategy probably did cost absolutely zero, at least at a personal level. I could even regenerate energy by floating in the air like that. It was the same as if I laid down on a couch and relaxed. With the mind calm and not focused on stress or currently performing a magical feat, the magical energy of a unicorn naturally regenerates, to a point at least. Over the course of a day, I will eventually say our maximum energy supply shrinks as we gradually get more tired, but until then, it could fluctuate up and down, depending on how we use it or don't use it. It also depended on the difficulty of the task when we do use it for. However, relying strictly upon light body weight and wind control had some pretty drastic problems. My concentration was very low, and the energy cost was pretty much non-existent. Maneuverability was something to be desired. Like the first time I used this power, even if I was the one directly controlling the winds, I was spinning all over the place. Try as I might, I could never get myself steady. And there was another problem too. I had to maintain the winds in order to remain aloft. The most I could accomplish in terms of staying in one spot was to have a whirlwind around me spiraling me in one spot. You can say around here, because you already said it in one spot. The most I could accomplish in terms of staying in one spot was to have a whirlwind around me, spiraling me around. And that sounds a little better. I think you can imagine how dizzying that eventually grew. If the wind ceased blowing, then I would fall gently down to the ground. Gravity takes over if the winds do nothing. Feather may not have much gravity, but it does have it. So basically, flight via the wind was a dizzy attempt filled with imprecision. I would zigzag all over the place. Even if I was blown in a straight course, I could never keep myself from spinning. The wind is like a river, you see. It always flows at least a little chaotically. No degree of concentration on my part could ever seem to change that. My attempts refined the wind to a point, but eventually I seemed to encounter a limit that is naturally built-in fact based upon the element I was drawing upon. It can be made completely steady, not by any pony. This is an incalculable number of factors there is an incalculable number of factors that make it inherently chaotic. Much of it I probably don't even realize today. Asking the wind directly why this is so. Asking the wind directly why this is so did not yield any answers either. It could no more tell me. It could no more tell me that. Then you tell me more. Tell me what? Wait. Let my doggo in because he wants to come in. No. Don't be scared. Where was I? It could no more tell me that. It could no more tell me that than you could tell me how many hairs you have in your mane. For something to work did not require conscious knowledge of how it works. It was better to just blindly accept it. I remember the gasp of astonishment of various onlookers present at our meeting, and I remember thinking, because you are this impressed, the crowd is likely to be quite a bit larger next time, unless we change training locations. Bow bow! Bow chicka bow bow! I had to remember, as sloppy and impractical that test flight was, I was still a flying unicorn. That was bound to leave an impression. Every single one of these ponies likely went home and reported to their friends and family the astonishing discovery that they made on that day. For that reason alone, I was likely to grow famous. Maybe even Celestia would stop by for a visit sometime if the rumors continued to spread. I can say she doesn't go curious eventually when some information floats out there on a very interesting subject. Yep, but she can actually just look on you through her magical memory mirrors. Or spirit television. How should we call it? I also heard a whisper from among the crowd as they passed on the information that I was a member of the Squirrel family, a family that has a reputation of being one of the stronger casters in Equestria. Some replied, "Oh well, I guess this makes a little more sense then." That's not why I did it. I practiced flying because I honestly just wanted to be myself. I practiced flying because I simply enjoyed flying. Being watched and judged by so many ponies, if it was so positive judgment, made me feel embarrassed and self-conscious. Despite the fact that my family happened to be famous, I was not accustomed to that much attention back then on a personal level. Even today, I can only endure it in limited quantities. That was actually another key factor in my decision about leaving the Wonderbolts. But I get more into that later. Wait. Celestia's creeper mirror. Yep. So he got into the Wonderbolts. He left. It's not like they didn't accept him because he's a unicorn. They accepted him. Probably as a reserve. But he left. Because everyone's, oh, it's a unicorn in the Wonderbolts. So, for my second test flight, it had mixed results. Like the last test flight, it showed promise, but this time I had a difficult time conceiving how I could possibly improve using this strategy. If I blew myself harder, I would simply spin faster. Eventually, I would spin so fast that the accumulated G-forces alone would knock me out. I could probably assume if I lost consciousness then, not only would the wind control stop, but I would probably gain all my weight back. That did seem to be my body's default condition. In some ways, and probably many ways, that was a good thing. Being that light all the time had serious disadvantages. I couldn't even trot straight if I was that light, because any degree of movement, even moving a single step forward on the ground, could make me spin out of control. So I was left with a conundrum. If I used telekinesis, at least I knew I could eventually get better at my concentration. This strategy had room for improvement. The other strategy, on the other hoof, came across some barriers pretty quickly, because of built-in physics of the issue. If I'm spinning out of control all the time, it's difficult to focus on going in any direction, because I quickly lose my spatial orientation. I didn't even know which way is up anymore. If I control over the wind, doesn't matter if you are lost, dizzy, and confused. I might as well release my control over the wind and allow it to blow me in any random direction that it wants. If I choose a direction instead, and I'm totally lost, then I'm basically picking a random direction anyway. There is no difference. Early on the second day, your mother suggested that I try a combination of the two strategies. So she suggested that I lighten my body, push myself using graphite wind control, but also use telekinesis to steady myself. As long as I'm not spinning around too much, I will be able to tell where I'm going, and a refined wind control would be effective. She also suggested that, if I was indeed that light, I would not have to focus my energy across my entire body. I could instead focus on a single part of it, and use it to guide the rest. For example, she suggested I use my energy to cover only my legs with telekinetic aura. If less surface area was being covered by aura, then the technical energy wouldn't be as severe. Skylancer and I figured it was worth a shot, so I tried it. Now that strategy definitely had some promise, but it was fine balancing act. Concentration and a bit of magical energy was a factor, but grabbing less surface area meant less concentration, magical energy, and distraction. I still had to struggle with my shifting body weight, however, and anything that had concentration left me at risk of losing control of that power. I also tried gentle and sporadic pushes of the wind to just nudge me in any direction. A little push here and a little push there, then let my momentum carry me where I wanted. That actually kind of worked. It was kind of slow but more steady. I wasn't spinning around as much. Compared to an average Pegasus flight, that kind of slow speed and poor maneuverability was downright pathetic, but again, the strategy had merits, and that might eventually improve later on. And also, I'm not a Pegasus, I am a unicorn. Towards the end of the day, Skylancer pointed something else out to me that got me thinking. He mentioned the fact that because I could control the wind's direction and speed directly, I could be valuable asset to any Pegasus, that by far. He said, I could just carry it by hoof underneath the Pegasus. Since I am able to make myself so light, it made the task unbelievably easy. Yup, he would be a good package. In exchange, I could control the winds to simply blow directly at their wings. In theory, they could simply glide all the way around the world using their strategy. Their weight would no longer be a factor to that Pegasus if they could rely upon the tailwind to keep them aloft and propel the entire trip. This made the trip considerably less exhausting, or they could flap. They could flap anyway and gain more speed out of it. Yeah, they actually used that strategy with two Pegasus, right? In one of the Wonderport Academy episodes, when some pony was actually just oh yeah, it was what was their names? I like them both, at least the girl. who was actually, oh yeah, I will just stay behind and blow wind in your direction, so you are actually cheating on getting your records, but what was their name? It was so long ago. Do you know who I'm talking about? Let me check. I'm curious now. I don't want the episode, I want the full Wonderbot Academy. I don't even remember which the rookies. Sky Stinger and yeah, that's the one, but it's so annoying. She was one of my favorites. And Vapor Trail, that was her name. They actually used it. There we go. It's so nice to remember something. I found that proposal interesting, which made me contemplate my destiny again. Based on what we had observed so far, that was a valuable contribution I could already provide. Heck, that same suggestion would work with a hot air balloon. Since I could control the winds, I could blow the balloon wherever I wanted, and with greater accuracy and speed. It was something to think about. That realization came in handy for me years later too. That is how I blow our airship back and forth across Equestria quickly, and precisely so. In the long gallop, it turned out I eventually did make a career out of this specific aspect of my abilities after all. I was just about to say that he probably uses this on their home, their flying home. But you beat me to it. It was a Monday, basically the very next day, when I went to Grassy Park and simply laid my back. I relaxed on the grass. I put my forelegs behind my neck to prop it up for support, then lazily dangled my left hind leg over my right hind leg as it was propped up in order to straighten my back. Wait. So he went to the park and simply laid back, relaxed on the grass, put my forelegs behind my neck to prop it up for support, and lazily dangled my left hind leg over. Okay, I see it. It's the draw me like your French girl pose. It was there and then that I contemplated the results of last weekend's flight test, hoping to think of some strategy to help refine my flight control. Because of my potentially light body weight, there were two strategies I had at my disposal. Both of them worked, both had their own problems as well. Either way, I sensed I could go so far with them. To get true mastery of the sky, I was convinced I was missing some critical component. Something I just wasn't thinking about yet. I thought of what Skylancer said towards the end of our last session about how useful I could be to other Pegasi due to my ability to control the winds. There was no doubt I could provide a useful contribution to Equestria using that strategy. It would be so good that police would pay good money just for that benefit. I could speed them all across Equestria faster than almost any other strategy available to us. Featherwind, it's Monday. You are not supposed to think about this stuff. You are supposed to actually learn about other stuff, about magic, and focus on your studies. Wasn't that the deal you made with your father? No, I'm pretty sure this is the free time that he got the 2 hours of free time. The potential didn't even stop there. Refined wind control was useful for other applications too. It could help with the weather, for example, or could blow into a windmill to help generate energy that way. But ultimately, I had to ask myself, what did my heart cut for? What did I yearn for? The answer that came quickly was that I wanted to fly. I could just tangle behind the Pegasus or a string while blowing wind straight into the wings. They would fly easier and faster than ever, but for my part, I felt like I wanted more. I wanted to be able to fly on my own, but for that to happen, I had to refine one of the existing strategies I already had in front of me. This is why he made a wingsuit out of clouds. A wise look crept into Featherwind as he looked. Oh, a wise look crept into Featherwind as he looked at his daughter and said, "Yes, I know. You already spoiled on this part as well. You know exactly what I will decide at that time, based on what I've done since. But please continue to pay attention. By understanding the reasoning behind that decision and the problems I've discovered along the way, you get to learn the evolutionary progress of a single idea. How one idea and one experiment leads to the next and the next and the next. Understanding the process is still valuable information." I wasn't going to say anything, Starbase promised, then waved at her father. "Please continue." I forgot to mention, there were a few trees near the spot I laid on. I think that was the reason I chose that spot. It was in the shade, you see. Easier to enjoy looking up in the sky without the sun shining in my eyes. I also appreciated the sound of the tree leaves made when the wind blew through them. It was quite relaxing. You could say I liked the wind more than the leaves. Then something crashed near me that drew my attention. It was a lucky thing. It did, because it led to the next evolution of my flight training. There, I saw a kite that had nosedived into the earth, leaving its tail hanging in the air. I can call this as a foreshadowing that he will crash like this later on. The young filly that was originally guiding that kite got up to it and plucked it out of the earth. I remember her playful giggle as she galloped away and tried to drag the kite behind her fast enough to get it extended again. She shortened the length of the string at first, so the kite would drag close behind her. As it dragged behind her, it lifted up, but then waved about unsteadily. Boy, I sure knew that feeling. I knew first hoof how wild and chaotic the winds could be. That's why I was there. I helped her. It seemed like a strange contrast to my own personality, actually. I may be loose and enjoy daydreaming, but whatever I thought I had in my head was actually usually well controlled. I wouldn't describe myself as wildly loose and whimsical. Sometimes I could even be quite methodical. I guess I get that from my father. On a whim, I inwardly veered the wind to blow into the kite and secretly helped it sail upwards. Instantly it worked. The young filly at the other end of the string giggled with delight. In her eyes, she thought she got lucky to catch the updraft. I let her think that. It probably would have happened anyway, eventually, even if I had done nothing. You want to go? Okay. Go. The kite continued to hold Featherwing's attention as he left his hind leg continued to... What? The kite continued to hold Featherwing's attention as his left hind leg continued to bounce idly around his right pant leg. As he stared at it, he contemplated the physics of kites and how they work exactly. While staring at the kite that was above his field of vision, the fairy at the other end gradually unwound more and more of string. Up above, the kite's flight continued to be wild and chaotic for a while at certain height, but as it ascended further up, it gradually became more steady. Looking upon this, Featherwind realized that the wind was blowing more steadily at certain altitudes. The kite continued to weave in the air some, but in general, the higher it was, the more steady it was. And now the key factor that he was missing, why his first flight was much better, because he was using a kite, he was using his cloak. Pantlag? Yeah, that would work as well. Not in my experience. I didn't fly that high yesterday, but I flew a lot further up the first time, or at least that's what I suspect. I can't be sure, but I feel like I was miles above the earth when Duncan discovered me. I was still weaving to and from back then. Why was the wind not steady then? You missed the letter here. He wears pants? No pants. He wears a cloak, especially missed cloaks later. Why was the wind not steady then? As for the wind thought on that, he contemplated on the roll of the string. Okay. As Featherwind thought on that, he contemplated the string of the kite played in this whole affair. In a way, it meant the kite was tethered to the ground, held by a young filly who was herself on the ground. If that had not happened then, the kite would sail away and get unsteady again. As it was only steady because it was trying to blow away, but the string would not let it. There was a resisting force in this case. The shape of the kite was another thing that played a role in this affair. It was made of very light materials, similar to Featherwind, when he lightened his body weight, but unlike Featherwind, the shape of the kite aided in refined control while up in the sky. Reflecting on that, Featherwind contemplated his own body shape. Sure, he could make himself very light, but then realized his shape was another factor in this affair. Based on the position of his legs, the shape of his torso, his mane, his neck, the shape of his head, he wasn't exactly aerodynamic. For obsolete from back, but it still sounds like you missed the letter. I know it means that, but it still looks like that you missed it. Using proper form is better at that point, I guess. And I'm sure other people will think that as well, that you just missed the letter. He pictured in his head exactly how the wind would interact with a shape like that. He thought about how it bounced off and veered around every curve of his body. By doing that, it pushed down his body and changed his angle relative to the wind, and it just kept on doing that. He spun in the air because of the repetition of this pattern. As the wind blew on him, it spun him. After that, It blew on the new area facing the wind, and spun that as well, and just kept going on. He was like a spinning fan in the sky, and all of it because of the shape of his body. And speaking of shapes, what's with my mane lately? Oh, this is when it's gonna be described that his mane is different when he's flying. Okay. Whenever his mane was blowing in the wind, it became very straight and loose. It flowed easily in whichever direction the wind happened to be blowing. However, when the wind was not blowing through his mane, it took a different shape instead. His mane grew puffy, much like a cloud. Okay, so that's why I was so interested in the change you made, that he has fluffy hair. I didn't know about this until now. I didn't know that he has fluffy hair. But I actually got the long straight hair when he was flying. I was right about that part. To confirm that, he applied a hoof into his mane, and it just sank into his white puffy mane, like sticking his hoof into a soft pillow. As soon as he relaxed the pressure, his mane resumed its previous shape. Another test, feather wind smacked his mane hard and watched it jiggle like jello, until it suddenly calmed down again and resumed its puffiness, but otherwise steady shape. Oh wait, and resumed its puffy but otherwise steady shape. Okay, it's right. Okay, just to confirm, Quill, this is new to him, right? Was his mane always like this? Was his mane always puffy? Or it became puffy when he got the cutie mark? Because it is not said. As I said before, I thought that in his young filly form he had a licked back, typical high standard rich pony hair at that point. That's how I imagined him. But if he had fluffy hair in the beginning, no, it wasn't always like this. He's about to say that. Oh, okay. I just had to be sure. I admit, I didn't get out much from my room before, but I got a distinct impression my mane didn't used to act like this before I got my cutie mark. Huh? It makes me wonder how many times discovering one's true talent changes one other ponies in noticeable psychological ways. Is that true? Strabby's asked with wonder. Huh, I wonder if that means I'm going to change if I discover my true talent. And I don't mean the mere discovery of the talent. If it's true, we physically change as a result of discovery then. It would be strange if some pony would get a talent, like let's put Starbreeze here. Starbreeze is a black pony with 5 white little dots and has the mane of the sunset. But what if she found out that her talent has nothing to do with the stars? It would be more about light, the light magic, because she actually wants to use magic on her own. Would that be possible to change colors? Would she be able to become a white pony with black dots and the mane of a sunrise when she gets a cutie mark? I guess it's possible then if you're getting your cutie mark actually changes your outer appearance. It's puffy now, but straight in the wind. However, when he was young, it was cut short and neat, just like his father wanted. Okay. It might change accordingly, but her base appearance is likely a strong hint what she is and what she should do. Well, not for Featherwind, he didn't have that hair before. I looked into it that years later, mostly through other books. Featherwind responded to his daughter. Research in this area has been largely inconclusive, but there does seem to be some evidence that suggests a physical change in some cases. Mane shape and sometimes even color did appear to be affected sometimes. But however exactly they changed appear to be a case-by-case basis. The talents themselves were as varied as the ponies themselves, so the degree of change they went through varied as well. This was the best conclusion others had made so far. So even the book confirmed what I said, that it's possible. That would be a bit much, but it makes sense as well as with Pinkie Pie. Yeah, but there are always exceptions. Like probably Sombra changed a little bit as well when he discovered his magic of crystals. We don't know how he looked like before. At least as canonically, we don't know. But there are actually some fun animations about that, how he could have looked before. His horn changed, that's for one. So in other words, it all depends, Starbase figured. It looks like it, yeah. Featherwind confirmed. As he thought on it, Featherwind in the past examined the fact as it would affect him when it came to being blown by the wind. His mane was puffy if there was no wind, otherwise it flowed with the wind where there was the wind. There are a lot of winds here. His mane was puffy when if there was no wind, otherwise it flowed with it. Dot. End of sentence. You don't need that so many repetition of the wind. I am pretty sure that's a little bit overkill right there. It could be his imagination, but his mane also seemed longer when blown by the wind. The wind. But that's okay. In terms of shape, it wasn't much of a factor on the ground. His mane would also blow one way if it was steady and standing on the ground. But up in the sky he was spinning all over the place, making his mane wave about widely. This was not being said by him in the present. If only there were some day I could make myself more like a kite in the sky. Oh come on! Starbase rolled her eyes. You already learned this lesson at the earlier point in your life, before you even truly flew, for that matter. Yeah, I admit it. I was kind of being dumb at that moment. Featherwind admitted to his daughter. But put yourself in the mindset that I was back then, and apply the emotional factor. Only recently I discovered my cutie mark, and along with it, the dream come true. I think past tense would be better here. I Only recently I discovered my kitty mark, and along with it, a dream came true. With a one that was born from an intensely painful wish when it came to his strength. If you ever get overwhelmed by something, sometimes lessons you already learned earlier gets thrown out the window. Back then, this inspiration finally struck me when I heard a sort of chirp sound. I glanced up and found, looking up at the source of the sound, Featherwind saw a squirrel climb up a tree. Oh no, it's gonna be a flying squirrel. I know it's gonna be a flying squirrel. Featherwind grinned, thinking the creature was so cute. He especially liked the way the little rodent's nose moved up and down at a fairly rapid rate. The squirrel he stared at often, paused for seemingly no reason. When it did resume, Featherwind was a bit surprised how fast the squirrel could do it. Featherwind knew for sure he couldn't climb the tree nearly that fast, not even if he lightened his own body weight. Well, obviously he's built differently. But then, he saw something that gave him an epiphany. Oh no. Actually, I learned this word, in Doki Doki Literature Club, when I played it. And when I saw this word right here, it gave me a flashback of that. It's okay. The squirrel in the question leapt to another tree, and along the way, he spread its paws apart which stretched his flexible skin. The squirrel glided over to the next tree, or some might call it, falling with style. Wait a second, that's it! Featherwind exclaimed in his mind with intense realization as he sat up straight. He also looked back at the flying kite. Change my shape, that's it! Why didn't I think of this before? I've already done it before. Exactly! Starbeast agreed without a roll of her eyes. And that's why I became an attack helicopter. There's a flying snake that glides in a similar way. Is there? And so, it came to pass that the next time I got out with Stormwind and Skydancer as a bunch of nameless ponies roaming about the background, we got out by the lakeside again, and I showed them my new idea, which was actually one of my old ideas. I brought with me my new cloak, courtesy of my father's purchases, because I was stupid and left my old cloak back there. Probably Lady still has it. Actually, I had that cloak for a few weeks earlier, but it was only a third flight training visit when it finally occurred to me to use it. And well, it didn't go so well, but again there was progress. It clearly was a step in the right direction. With the cloak tied to each of my hooves, I didn't even need kinetic control unless I suspended myself in midair. I could be blown about in the air like a sail on a sailing ship. The shape of the cloak captured the wind better than any other part of my body, especially since I could control exactly where the wind blew at me. Moreover, with my shape spread out to the four corners of that cloak, it made me more flat and aerodynamic, thus it solved my chaotically spinning problem without relying on my kinetic control as a crutch. But then again, there was the problem of the cloak trying to fall apart. There was the... Oh wait! I was about to say that there is the problem of getting holes into it, the ripping and stuff, but we learned that there are actually magic that can make it fireproof, that can make it less vulnerable to the time. So, and also there is time magic that he can repair it with. But also, it can fall out of his legs. the tie can be undone. Rope is still not the best strategy, that's why he's changing it to wind cloak. A cloud cloak later on. Still, the strategy had some flaws when I started to pick up the speed. This was only apparent after several future sessions using this strategy. At first it worked wonders, and we all clearly thought we found the perfect strategy, but as I picked up speed or made more daring maneuvers, my cloak flew apart. Yep. I could never tie the cloak to the ends of my hooves tightly enough to keep it from flying off eventually. It was concluded that if I could tie it on well enough, it would also cut off my blood circulation. So back to the drawing board. You could make a cloak that is actually not removable, like a wingsuit. Basically that's what you need, right? That was probably the first prototype. Later on, we will see. So back to the drawing board. I had another idea that Skydancer, Starving, and my father also accrued, unbeknownst to each other. I tried the cloak idea again with an extra addition. I had some point to sew a pocket into all four corners of the cloak and make it large enough to stick my hooves into it. With the test cloak version of the version 2.0, again we noticed a sizable improvement. As long as I pushed the outward with the cloak pretty hard, my hooves stayed in each pocket of the cloak with far less risk of slipping it off. It's just like the physics of a kite, really. I have to tell you, the strategy worked so well that I actually applied it for years to come. With pockets sewn into the cloak, I had a stable grip on it, which meant I could reliably carry it off by it, by nullifying my own body weight as a factor almost completely. It was the cloak that ended up weighing more. There was a bit of drag because of that. Oh, also, yep. You have to get the weight of the leather. It's probably made out of leather or silk. Silk is not that durable though. But I gather it would be leather or silk because that's what rich ponies use. It's probably silk. Or velvet? We will see. It was nothing compared to the body weight of a true Pegasus. Combined with a cloak, I weighed approximately as much as the wings of Pegasus alone. Actually, I might have been quite a bit lighter, perhaps only the weight of a single wing. This was when my flying lessons really started to take off, and also the point where the physics of the issue was more in line with what Skydancer would teach me. Finally, there was a sheep in this situation where his lessons and advice had more of an impact. But that would mean they are killing other animals, so sick. No, it wouldn't make that they are killing animals. They can mean that they are using dead animal body. You know, people die, animals die on their own naturally. They can use their leathers. I think Applejack's hat is made of leather, but if it is... Again, animals die on their own. And they are actually keeping cows and sheep. And oh yeah, they are actually definitely keeping sheep for their wool. Canvas? What is canvas? Oh, okay. It's linen. I didn't know canvas. It's linen. The cows can talk. Well, they can talk, but they are kept for their milk. They didn't talking cows, sheep. Yep, they have pigs too. The show is a bit confusing. I can guess why they are keeping. They can keep anything that they want without actually killing animals. Like, you can keep the sheep for their wool. It's actually helping them if you are shaving them. You can keep cows for their milk. You can keep pigs to actually find mushrooms. That's probably not why they are keeping them. You can keep... that's gonna be a problem. What about chickens? You can keep them... They are definitely keeping them for their eggs. Because they have an egg coop for that. And that is actually killing if you count it that way. Eggs are just unborn chickens. Unless they are unfertilized. That's a stretch. Yeah, I know it's a stretch. I'm trying to stretch as far as possible that we are in the show. We can't kill animals. Goats work as security for monitors. And also, goats have milk as well. But let's get back to the story because I see there are not too much left of this and we can talk afterwards. In effect, I was basically flying with a single wing, but that wing being the cloak itself. Since I could control the wind, however, one wing was all I really needed. The shape of my cloak was also somewhat more flexible than the shape of the true Pegasus' wing. In the case of Pegasus' wing, it bent inwards and outwards. It could also lift higher and lower, along the side of the Pegasus' body. For the most part, that was pretty much it. For some had more refined control over the wing, and could bend it at any point along the way up to the tip. We saw an episode where they shaved sheep for wool once, yep. It was one of the other universe flashbacks when Sabra was attacking. But it's still in the universe, it's still canon that they do it. Keeping chicken for eggs, for sheep definitely right about the wool, yep. Who knows, they might be eating some chicken soup later on. We don't know. I saw some Pegasi, for example, flew through the sky by flapping only the tips of their wings, while keeping the rest of it straight. There could be in some of them very flexible muscles along the way up to the tip of their wings. Those were usually the ones who became the most maneuverable in the sky, but even then, I never saw a pony who could bend their wing backwards. Speed, on the other hoof, is most affected by the raw power of the flap of the entire wing. In contrast, my cloak was actually flexible by being able to bend anywhere along 5 points of it. On one on each end of my hoof and the last the hood. I don't think you need this one on each end of my hoof and lost the hood secured over my head. Do you need it? You might need it, I don't know. It just sounds strange. If I say it out loud, that the lost the hood. By spreading this apart, I was able to capture the wind and use it to drive me in a direction it was blowing. The tension of holding the cloak spread. The tension of holding the cloak spread also helped to keep my hooves within each pocket of the cloak. Just remember, in a friend's story, there was a sheep who was a bad guy. No, you have to say it like that. It's a bad guy. All crazy and ranty, trying to kill the hero. Well, if you know Catherine, the game, I'm not gonna say anything more. If you don't, I'm most likely not gonna say anything more because of spoilers. But if you know it, you know what I'm talking about, what I'm hinting at. I could also bend any of those 5 points to curve in many possible directions. I could bend the cloak using my middle joint of my leg, or straight the entire leg up or down, left or right. Controlling the shape of the cloak was key to expert maneuverability. Wow, that's a hard word. I know that word, but it's still hard to say. With the wind always on my side, I was capable of feats that even Pegasus could find it difficult. Catherine. I also concentrated a bit to grasp the fabric within each pocket, as an addition to precaution to hold it in space. But as the lessons continued and study got more complicated, I eventually came across another problem: the durability of the cloak itself. I spoke about this. The stitching on each end of the pocket suffered major strain sometimes. I may not have weighed much while in flight, but each of my hooves kept shifting back and forth hard within the pockets. I held the pockets apart from each other pretty firmly, which is another reason that caused them to tear. I still don't know why they didn't enhance it yet. At low speeds, they endured for quite a while, but as I picked up more speed or performed more complex maneuvers, my true limits became the physical capabilities of the cloak itself. Attempts were made to make thicker cloaks, tougher materials, more stitching. Each version did improve performances, but performing complex maneuvers always strained the limits of the material eventually. After a while, my father suggested that perhaps a magical item would be a final answer to this problem. Yep, enhancements of cloaks could increase its durability, but after years of flight practice, I started to get a better idea for the basis of material for the cloak: the clouds themselves. If condensed enough, it could make a solid material for any pony to touch. And this was a material naturally born from the sky. I actually like this transition of music right here. I don't usually use this, but this actually sounds like that. Oh yeah, I got an idea! Type of music. That's which one is this? It's Objection. It's the earliest Objection theme from Phoenix, right? If condensed enough. Okay, I said that. I labored months on this project, and for once, I did it all by myself. For this project was a labor of passion, a critical component of my destiny. This was to be my official wing, basically, so I wanted to be involved in every step of its creation process, from start to finish. if I was to have an intimate and deeply interesting connection to you. I actually learned the enchanting process from scratch. No doubt that after many years of practice my father was better enchanter back then, but this time I insisted that I do the work myself. He didn't complain, because he wanted me to learn the skills anyway. Instead, he took more of a supervisory role when he could. I practiced many times on other things before moving on to the final project. I also gathered premium clouds from Cloudsdale itself, straight off the weather factory, in preparation for this creation. At least it's not a rainbow factory, right? I even dreamed about crafting this cloud cloak sometimes. Lessons repeated over and over again in my mind, and sometimes my dreams gave me new insight, which I used to improve the final design. Then, after several months of labor, I finally did it. I crafted the perfect cloak with my own hooves, dubbed the Mist Cloak. I have never needed to replace it ever since. It even captured and seemed to enhance the power of the wind, and it never tore no matter how much I stressed it. The material could bend or stretch, but it never broke or tore. It could also rest on top of it as it were a normal cloud, but because it was so condensed, it was also too heavy to remain aloft by itself. Also, it's not something that he just summons, it is actually an equipment. I thought that the cloud on itself was the mist cloak was just something he summons as he starts to fly. But no, it is actually an item. That's a good thing to know, that it can't be stolen and he can't replace it unless he does make a new one. Oh, and speaking of which, that was another thing I practiced over the years. I tried to master the refined art of standing on clouds. Being as light as I was, it wasn't too difficult. The problem came later, when I realized my ability to lighten my body weight was indeed dependent upon my consciousness. I could stand on the clouds easily enough while awake, but asleep was another story. Like the Rainbow with Goku, yep, exactly. Some ponies thought me insane for obsessing over this, but I was determined to learn how to sleep on clouds. It was such a comfortable sleeping material after all, and besides that, it was an obstacle keeping me from fully connecting to the sky. I tried over and over again to sleep in the clouds, and over again I fell right through it. I recall a good 9 months, where I replaced my bed in my bedroom with a bathtub full of water. Then I placed the cloud above it and tried to sleep on it. If my concentration slipped while asleep, I would fly right through the cloud and splash into the bathtub, which inevitably woke me up or killed me. Then I died because I suffocated in the water. The end. So now I can actually sleep on the clouds because I'm dead. What you can see right here is my ghost. It is not a good idea to fall in a bathtub full of water while you are asleep. You might not wake up. This was a stupid idea from him. Over time, I learned to sleep more lightly, so I could maintain a light subconscious effort to keep concentrating on maintaining my light body. Eventually, I succeeded, and when I did, I was overjoyed. I could fly in the sky, and I could sleep in the clouds. Life was good. Until something happened in the next chapter, right? Because something definitely will happen in the next chapter. He learned to fly. How long is... It's not that long. Chapter 9 is not that long. Huh. No. We'll keep it for the next stream, which is not gonna be tomorrow. I'm pretty sure that from Monday to Thursday I won't be able to stream. Friday. Yep. Friday is gonna be the next stream. Until the Fire Nation attacked. What do we think? Well, it is a thought process for sure. He learned to control the wind. He learned how to get his cloak made. It needed to be done, and also his new hairstyle is in contrast here. And also he can now sleep on the clouds. He probably just did this all the time when he was not studying. Oh, I want to sleep on the clouds. But yeah, the only stupid thing that he did was this. If he didn't wake up by the splashing of water, he would have died. Okay, this is the second stupid thing he did. First off, he jumped off the cliff when the wind said it to him that jump, I will catch you. He almost died then. Next up, he actually put a bathtub full of water under his cloud bed, and when he was still not able to sleep on it. That's why I find the chapter a bit boring but very important. In addition to what you said, I just went to the side ship here. The cloud was not high above this. It doesn't matter, it was above the top. It doesn't mean you have to fall far. You are falling into the water, and if you don't wake up by it, you don't get air. Or even worse, you suck in the water instead of air, and your lungs will fill with water. And that is horrible. That is actually why everyone says don't fall asleep in a tub, because you might not wake up. That's just how human and pony body works. And that's how lungs work. Even if you wake up in time, because you feel the water rushing in through your veins, it would not be good. You know what I mean, right? And he actually said that he fell right through many times before, because he tried to sleep on it, and splashing into the bathtub woke him up. Check my Discord. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's getting really nice right there. You've done a lot of coloring. Could have been shallow water. Yeah, but you are not saying it's with. You said full of water right here. It is full of water. Can you see this right here? Probably not, because it's not filled in. Don't zoom in. There we go. at least the current state. Well, we did a lot of coloring while we were reading. Oh, so these were bushes. I thought these were clouds. Or trees, I guess. Bushes and trees. I actually thought it was a line of clouds in the sky. Now it makes sense. It makes more sense if it is trees. We see it, and now I'm watching the video a bit later too. You're making great progress. I actually, Quill, I actually suggest you to put some water in this. You don't want a full bathtub of water, and it will just make things actually better, and it will just eliminate the process of killing himself by suffocating by water. I think the main character in my last story almost down in the past of yeah, that's not an uncommon thing actually in real life either. That people die from sleeping in a bathtub full of water. That's not uncommon at all. And also, yeah, the other problem here with the bathtub full of water, you will catch a cold. Even if you are not partially full. Okay, that's what matter. I'm sorry. It just made me a little bit anxious for his health. he killed himself not only once but twice throughout the story. I have to ask, will he kill himself again? He probably will. It's canon. He died twice. But again, as for what I think this is a very important section of the story. That we need to see his process. His thought process, how he got to that point of the mist cloak. How he could use it. And also how he tried to sleep on the clouds. That is really good. And it's definitely not upping chapter 7 because it was the best for now. But we got some very important information about this. About everything. Well, I have to say Skylancer didn't speak too much. He spoke a little bit, but that's okay. Even though he is the tutor, we see this through Featherwind's eyes, and he is not remembering any of his his words because he was just concentrating on actually flying. That's how it sounds like to me. This is showing how he's making progress. Yep. All of this will be part of future chapters. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna continue this on Friday, the same time. At least Friday for me. I'm gonna put it up because sadly I will work from Monday to Thursday every day in the morning, so I won't be able to stream at the same time. This chapter will be part of future chapters. Yeah, that makes sense. This has a lot of important points, and he actually said that he used the normal silk cloak or other and other cloaks for a while before he did this cloak, this cloud cloak. But obviously he's not gonna go out and fly without actually learning to fly first or glide. But yeah, I'm actually gonna look out for a little bit. I'm gonna watch some YouTube, and I think I'm gonna check this out. Just a second. I found something. One of my favorite series is Danganronpa. I don't know if you know that. And there is a fan-made project of Danganronpa. It is called Danganronpa the Full End or whatever it is. Danganronpa. I won't find it right now because I'm not on the other side. He used several versions of the cloak before he ended up with this cloak. Yep, that's right. Oh wait, I have it on Discord. Just a second. That is it. Danganronpa Dead End. I'm gonna try the demo that they did later on, but I'm gonna go on Twitch for that. I'm not streaming games on this channel anymore. I did play Danganronpa 1 on this YouTube first, but yeah. Again, on Friday I will come back. I will put the notification up as soon as possible. I think I should describe the Miss Cloak better in this chapter. It's actually not noteworthy. Only problem is his daughter doesn't need that description because she already saw it. No, I think the Miss Cloak is actually described very well. That it is a cloud with pockets. That's all we need to know. And it is described in the prologue, how it looks like. So I don't think you need a better description of this. You described that he was learning it, how to make it. He made it himself. He made the same schematic. He changed it over and over again until it was the finished product, which he still uses up to this point. That's all. That's fine. You don't need to change anything about that. At least I don't think. But I have to ask, does he have a spare? Does he have a spare of this Miss Cloak? Or is it an only one unique item that he has? Because if I were in his shoes, I would definitely make a spare. Because it's not something that you can just summon. Yeah, it was described in the prologue. Yeah, doing the suspense music here. Miss Cloak is an equipment, yep. However, he later learns how to affect weather more on his own power. Yeah, I know it's an equipment, but the question is if he has a spare one or not. If it's unique. He probably can make a new one if he wants to, because he learned it how to do it. But as I said, I thought it was just something that he just summons from the clouds around him and form it to his own will. But no, he actually got to the feather factory and both clouds, the strongest clouds that he could find, he enhanced them and made an equipment out of them. If you look at it, create the cloud couch and here cloud sleeping bag for Starbreeze as he slept. Yep, that's true. So if he needs to, he can just make one, right? Out of the surrounding clouds, even though it won't be as good as his original one, but if he loses it, he can make a new one. So that's fine. That's fine. We will see if it comes to the story later. Probably not, because he still has it. That's a spoiler. He still has the cloud, the mist cloak. But yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream right now. And I'm gonna put the notification, not today, tomorrow I will put on the notification. Because I still have some things to do. If he makes another cloak, it's not counted as an impediment, yeah? He can make a temporary cloak. That's what I wanted to say. That he can make it if he wants, if he needs to, yeah, as an alert. That makes a lot of sense. Oh yeah, by the way, let's put this here. Oh, I need to log in for that. I couldn't do that. I'm not logged in. Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. I tried. But yeah, I'm gonna go. See you later. Bye bye.